Hey kids, today, welcome to section 5.1 sales tax. Today we're going to learn how to compute sales tax. I want you to think, why do you have to pay sales tax? Almost everywhere you go, you have to pay sales tax. Why? So you just purchased a computer game at the electronics store. When you purchased it, you might have had to pay a state or a local tax. You might have even had to pay both. Sales tax is a tax on the selling price of an item or a service you purchase. So whether you get your oil changed, you're going to have to pay tax. If you go to Walmart and buy the oil and all the supplies yourself, you're still going to have to pay tax. The sales tax rate is usually expressed as a percent and varies from state to state. There are many states that have a state sales tax. Also permit county and city governments to add an additional tax to the state sales tax. So for instance, look down here, kids, current taxes. The state of Illinois is 6.25%. Vermilion County can add on an additional tax of 0.25%. Danville can add on an additional 2.75%. So basically, you could be looking at like 9%, let's see, that's 9.25%. 9.25% sales tax. That means for every dollar you spend, you have to pay in another 9 cents. That's crazy. Now, there are most states do have sales tax to help generate revenue for its operations, but there are 5 states that currently have no sales tax. If you buy something in Alaska, Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, or Oregon, you're not going to pay any sales tax. Now, that means that the prices for things are just higher to begin with there to make up for the fact that they can't charge you sales tax. So maybe it's actually the same amount, but different amounts of money are going to different places. So if you want to calculate sales tax, first you're going to find your total selling price. That's when you're going to add everything up that you're buying. And then to find the sales tax, you're going to take your total selling price and you're going to multiply by the sales tax rate. Now, the sales tax rate is usually a percentage that you're going to have to change into a decimal before you can do any kind of multiplication. All right, so let's see what we got. Example number 1. Inez bought a cell phone for $199.95 and a phone case for $19.95. What is the total selling price? Well, total selling price is when you add up all the items that you purchased. So you purchased a cell phone for $199.95 and you purchased a phone case for $19.95. If I add those together, that's $219.90. Part B, what is the sales tax if Inez lives in Austin, Texas, where the state tax rate is 6.25%? And the combined local, city, and county tax rate is 2%. So first I need to add the percents together, 6.25 and 2%. If I add those together, I get a total tax of 8.25%. So you might have to add up different percentages. You definitely could do the problem differently, and you could multiply by 6.25% and then multiply by 2% and then add them. But it's a lot easier if you add the percents together first, and then you just have to multiply one time. So now take your total selling price, the $219.90, and multiply by 8.25% as a decimal. So 0.0825. Remember, money only has 2 decimals, so when you round, you get $18.14. So if Inez is purchasing these things in Austin, Texas, she's going to have to pay $18.14 in sales tax. All right, example 2, Jason bought an outboard motor for a fishing boat for a total selling price of $430, and he bought it in Maine, which has a 7% state sales tax rate. Calculate the sales tax. All right, so we only purchased one thing for $430, and there's only one percentage, 7%. If I multiply these together, I get $30.10. All right, let's go to example 3. All right, so now on this page, we have a chart up here in the corner that lists a couple different items and how much they cost. So an iPad, coat, a video game, a cell phone, spa treatment, gift certificate, live theater ticket, and a laptop. So if Kevin wants to buy 2 iPads, a live theater ticket, and 2 video games, what is the total selling price? Right, if he buys 2 iPads and each iPad is $329.99, he bought 2 of them. So 2 times $329.99. Then we're going to add 1 live theater ticket, which is $75. And then we're going to add 2 video games, and each video game is $59.99. All right, so let's do some multiplying. If I multiply 2 times $329.99, I get $659.98 plus the 75. And then if I do 2 times $59.99, I get $119.98. If I add those together, total selling price is $854.96. Part B, what is the total sales tax if there was a 5% state sales tax and a 1.2% city sales tax? Well, add the percents together first. 5 plus 1.2 is 6.2%. So now take your total selling price, $854.96, and multiply by 0.062. Round to 2 decimals, $53.01. All right, kids, that's the end of section 5.1, how to calculate sales tax. If you have any questions, please let me know. And as always, keep calm and keep trucking.